once again welcome to my YouTube channel Hoogar Social Academy. Dear viewers, today let us begin with a topic called as subsidiary alliance and about doctrine of lapse. These are the two cunning policies which helped the British to make the number of native rulers to bow their heads in front of the British Empire. In the last my classes, in my periods, we talked about that how empires in the southern side, one after one after one after, they are under the hands of whom? Under the hands of the British. Okay, now these two policies also helped the British, and in that the major policy called as a subsidiary alliance, where Maratha, by mistakenly wrong step what they have taken, or the Peshwa what wrong step he has taken, caused to lose themselves under the hands of whom? Under the hands of the British. So dear, let us little bit more learn about what are the terms and conditions of the subsidiary alliance. This is a question, what are the terms and conditions of subsidiary alliance, has been asked for 2 marks also, as well as for the 3 marks also. A very important question from the chapter called as extension of the British rule in India history, chapter number 2. So let us begin with this. Okay, now in the northern part of India, Punjab, it is in their hands. In the southern part of India, Karnataka area, Hyderabad region, Marathas, totally weak. Now here, why it is there? It's because Lord Wellesley, Lord Wellesley, who introduced the subsidiary alliance. Okay, subsidiary alliance, in a very simple way, if it is nothing but it's a military protection. The one who signed this agreement, the British is going to give the military protection, which was introduced in the year 1798 by the Lord Wellesley. But right, so this Lord Wellesley, not only just a subsidiary alliance, but also he moved with two more steps. Subsidiary alliance with the subsidiary alliance, two more steps. One was waging war against new states, those native rulers who have been there, those who are the weak rulers, with the support of our own native rulers. They attacked on the way on our own people, and our people who are not having the unity among themselves caused what it is that many of the rulers lost their empire. So here, first was waging war against new state. Second, administrating the states directly that were under the control of the British. And it will definitely, if a king loses, he has to give up his territory in the hands of the British, not directly, indirectly. But how come? It is a British, the territory, it belonged to the British, and there they started what? Their rule. It's because they are having their control over them. So one is waging war against new states, second one is administrating the states directly under the control of the British, and the third one was subsidiary alliance, a very important agreement. Okay, let us learn, dear student, what are the terms and condition of this agreement. The one who accepts the subsidiary alliance, the one who signs an agreement of subsidiary alliance. Okay, now that person, that king, that Indian king, he has to keep British army in their kingdom. See, they have to keep the British army. This itself shows what it is that British have directly entered into their territory. Now, purpose what it is that British army will keep an eye on the movement of that king. Second, the state had to bear all the expenses of the army. Now, the army which has been stationed there to look after it, whether it is their salary or any other things are been there, every expenditure of the British soldiers, it is on the head of whom? And of the Indian king. Yes, now British will not do the expenditure. British is doing the expenditure from the pocket of the Indian king. This is it. Third one, the king had to have British resident in his court. The king has to keep one British resident in his court. Right? Our kings who are having the darbar, where number of ministers used to sit, the ministers, the king used to discuss with each other, and then king and ministers comes to the conclusion whether to make any sort of agreements with any of the native rulers, or to attack on the any of the native rulers, or for the welfare of their particular territory. But now who is sitting with them? British is sitting. This made that they can't freely talk, nor they can freely take any sort of decision, because anything they speaks, the matter reaches to the where? To the British. This was the biggest problem arose. The king could not appoint any other Europeans. See, British says, except me you will not appoint any other European, nor from the Portuguese, nor from the Dutch, nor from the French, or any other European countries who comes here. You will not allow any of the persons to be the part of the way of your administration. King could not appoint any other European without the permission of the British. Moreover, without permission of, in the sense, the Governor General of English who will be there, the king, if he want to do any sort of agreement with any of the other native rulers, or want to take any of the decision like pact agreements, okay, must and should, mandatory it is that he has to take the permission. Now this was a big question. It was a big question. So king felt that if I accept these all things, if I accept these all things, in return what? So British said, in return you will get a favor. The favor is what? Military protection. If any of the ruler internally or externally, any of the ruler internally or externally tries to exploit you or tries to attack you, I will stand behind you. This was a military agreement. This was a military protection. The one who accepts, and those all who are weak. And in that, first person to accept the subsidiary alliance was the Nizam of Hyderabad, who accepted. This caused what it is that the ruler who was weak, he accepted. The one who fought, if that king won the battle, he ruled his territory. If he lost the battle, he has to accept the orders of the British. So this was one of the cunning policy of whom? Of the Lord Wellesley, who belongs to the British. So it is what? It's a military protection it is. Okay. There is one more cunning policy now. Let us learn about that cunning policy. This cunning policy has almost, this cunning policy, this military protection or this military agreement which was been done by the British has totally broken the power, the growth, or the supremacy of many of the Indian native rulers. Okay, and in that one more is there. Here we will come. Now, next one, it's about Lord Dalhousie. Lord Dalhousie, who introduced doctrine of lapse. Who introduced doctrine of lapse. Okay, who? Lord Dalhousie. What he did? He introduced the doctrine of lapse. This is also one of the very important agreement, right? Which has been between the native ruler and between the whom? Between the British. Okay. Now this was in the period of 1800, right? In the period of 1848, we see that Lord Dalhousie, he came with the cunning policy called as a doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse says, if the king dies childless, or simple to be made, if the king is not having his own son, if the king dies childless, his territory will be merged directly under the British Empire. Our king's royal family or royal family would not bother, or the people living in that territory called as a praja would not bother if the king is from their empire. And we, dear students, we know what type of culture we were having. If the king is not having the son, he used to adopt the son, or whether of sister or brother, or if no one is been capable, whom he feels capable, who can run the empire, that person was been appointed, and which was happily accepted by the royal family as well as the praja. But here there is no such opportunity was been given by the whom, by the British, as Lord Dalhousie introduced doctrine of lapse in the year 1848. According to that, if the king dies childless, his territory will be merged under the British, which cause what it is that many of them they tried to overcome over this, but at last many of the rulers, many of the places like Satara, Jhansi, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Jaipur, okay, many other places fell directly under the hands of whom? Under the hands of the British. Due to which reason? Due to the reason called as a doctrine of lapse. So in this also one of the cunning policy. In this way, Lord Dalhousie's doctrine of lapse brought in the 1848 and Lord Wellesley's subsidiary alliance have broken the supremacy of many of the Indian rulers. Some, as I said, some who won the battle, they had their empire. The one who lost has to accept the words of whom? Words of the British. So these all things was related to the second chapter of the history of 10th standard, extension of the British rule in the India. Dear students, in my next topic, I will come with more interesting history topics and other subtopics of the social science. And as always I say, don't forget to like, subscribe, and your comment is very, very important to come with the new chapters with the new different forms of information. Thank you, and let's meet once again in our next session.